Hey guys, so in today's horror book review I'm going to be reviewing a children's horror book, and this is a Goosebumps book called The Curse of Camp Cold Lake. And I'm reviewing this one because I remember this one from my childhood quite vividly actually. Out of all the Goosebumps books I think I ever read as a child, this is the one that really stood out to me. Particularly the image on the front cover, that creepy ghost kind of popping out of the lake, just really stuck in my mind. And I was thinking about it for a long time, and I managed to find a second-hand copy off of eBay. It's a little bit battered, but that doesn't really bother me too much. It is pretty old. It was published in 1997, so I was actually 7 when this book was first published, but obviously I read it later on. I never had it as a child. I bought it as a library book. Not bought it, sorry, I read it as a library book. And I must have read it a few times over because even the story I can vaguely remember. It follows a girl called Sarah who is signed up to this summer camp by a lake, and she really doesn't want to go. She's not really into water sports. She's just not really having any of it. She's in a bad mind about this camp pretty much as soon as she arrives. And she goes with her brother, and her brother is the complete opposite to her. He's quite popular. He really enjoys the lake. He's having a great time. He gets right into it. It's just his sort of thing, and she kind of resents him for this. And because she's in a bad mindset when she enters this lake, when she goes to meet a group of girls who will be her campmates, they share different cabins, and she goes into this cabin and she immediately starts off on the wrong foot with all of them. These group of girls, they immediately dislike her. You know, they start playing pranks on her and stuff goes wrong, and she comes across as quite sour and quite of a downer really on everyone else's, you know, camping experience. But yeah, so she's not really having any of it, and she decides to she doesn't make any friends, and she decides to pull a stunt where she pretends to drown herself in order to get everybody's sympathy and everybody's attention. Now I have to say, this character Sarah, I didn't really like her. She just kind of came across as quite bratty and didn't want to join in with the fun, and some of the things, the pranks the girls pull on her aren't very nice, and I do understand why she would be upset. But overall she's kind of a silly character, which I think works well with this story because it means that you kind of, well, I didn't anyway, really mind all that much what happened to her. So I kind of enjoyed the horror aspects of this story. I've said this before, I don't have to like the main character to enjoy the book. I actually find it, sometimes in horrors it works in the favour, because then you can enjoy the horror aspects without being too worried about the characters. Which sounds kind of cynical, but that's just how my mind works. Yes, obviously the prank goes wrong, and yeah, it doesn't really go towards her plan, and then something goes wrong, and then the horror kind of ensues. And I'm not going to say too much because, hello, I don't want to give too much of the story away. But yeah, that's pretty much the storyline, and it's a very short book. It's only 128 pages. I read it in one sitting, and I really enjoyed it. It's got a great atmosphere to it. You really, if you like summer camp stories and horror stories surrounding camping, I think you would really like this. I still enjoyed this even as an adult. It didn't, you know, take anything away from the story for me. I do remember, well, when I was a kid and I read this, I remember this book being so long, and then when I brought it and it came in the post, I was like, oh, it's tiny, it's nowhere near as big as what I remember it being as a child. But you know, when you're children, those kind of books I guess do seem longer. And also I have dyslexia. My dyslexia was quite bad when I was younger. I struggled with reading. It took me a while to get into it, but I loved stories, and my sister used to read these, and that's what kind of got me into them. I remember seeing this front cover and thinking I really want to read that book on my own without any help. And yeah, it kind of pushed me into reading these Goosebumps and these point horror books, and it really kind of started my love of horror reads. So I owe a lot to this Goosebumps book, and I'm very glad I have it. It's by R.L. Stine, who does all of the Goosebumps books, I think, and some of the Point Horror books that I have. So I haven't read any of the newer Goosebumps books. I don't know what they're like. If any of you guys have, then please leave them down below. I have another Goosebumps book that I'm going to be reviewing called Vampire Breath, also by R.L. Stine, which I have already read. I just need to film the review. But I only have these two from the 90s, and I might get some more because I am kind of enjoying them. And I don't know if I'll try any of the newer books. I know there's like a newer Horrorland series in the Goosebumps world. But I might give them a go. I mean, I'm going to read them at some point because I want to read them to my son when he's older. So, yeah, overall, a really good review. I would highly recommend this if you are a Goosebumps fan. Please read this. And if you do, let me know what you think. Or if you've already read this book, let me know what you thought. I really like it. It's one of my favourites. It's one of the ones that really stands out to me. So yeah, I just thought it was a great little ghosty camping book. So that's pretty much all I have to say in this review. Like I said, I have one other Goosebumps books to review in my horror series I'm doing this October. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any questions, then please leave them down below. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye guys.